Well, congestive heart failure is a stageable disease. There's class A, B, C, and D. And A and B is the symptoms you'll see is usually when you have the patient who's hypertensive, they have diabetes, elevated cholesterol levels, and those are the patients you want to try to manage them before they get into a further stage of heart failure. And when they're in stage C and D, their heart is usually compromised. Usually with congestive heart failure, the patient's heart is still working, but it's just not working as effectively as it needs to work. So the patients get a lot of swelling in their legs, they're short of breath. So these are the symptoms that the patients want to be aware of. And if they're gaining weight, a few pounds over a couple of days, 2-3 pounds, they want to contact their doctor to see if they want to do something before it gets too far.
Now, Keisha, is that manageable?
It's manageable, but it takes a lot of participation from the patient. With congestive heart failure, the symptoms are controlled based on the patient's lifestyle, not smoking, not drinking alcohol, following a diet, not eating fatty foods, following up regularly with their doctor. You can control the symptoms, but there's no cure for it.
So is it a progressive disease?
It's a progressive disease, yes.
So at some point it will take you then if, unfortunately, congestive heart failure.
Yes,
at some point.
Unfortunately.
And now our viewers, if they want more information about heart disease, besides their doctor, and do they go on the website? What other resources are available to them?
Okay, Trinitas Regional Medical Center, we do have a website, www.trinitasrmc.org, where they can get information about the hospital, what different services we have. There's a phone number that they can contact, 908-994-5251. And that's a heart failure helpline that we have set up for non-urgent questions. If anyone has questions about heart failure, what's going on with them, they're having symptoms and don't know what they should do, they can call that number and they'll get one of the nurses at the hospital who can answer a question for you. There's also some generic information they can find from American Heart Association, which has tons of information on not only heart failure, but on heart disease, stroke, and that is www.americanheart.org.
Now, the best advice you can give is if you're experiencing is to not self-diagnose yourself.
Exactly, and they should call 911 and seek out some health care advice in regards to, their problem.
Okay. Keisha and Diane, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show and explaining American Heart Month in the month of February to us, and we thank you for all of your efforts in making people healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Diane and Keisha, I'm Chris Bolwage. Please stay tuned. After these messages, we'll be with Councilwoman Patricia Perkins Auguste, the President of City Council, talking about upcoming events in the City of Elizabeth for Black History Month. Welcome back to our city. For the second half of the show, I'm pleased to be joined by the President of City Council, Councilwoman at Large Patricia Perkins Auguste. Councilwoman, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank
And
you for having
you've been
me.
on a few times, and we've discussed African American history. But before we get into Black History Month, which kicks off at the beginning of February, you were at the inaugural as well as I,
Yes,
and
yes.
you were at the Congressional Black Caucus ball.
Yes.
So were you at the inaugural itself? Were you out there?
Yes, I was out there.
What'd you think?
Oh my God, it was fantastic. I keep telling people, I say, what do you think? It was fantastic. You see millions of people, and it was just freezing cold, but it was just fantastic. I mean, no incidents. Everyone was just happy to be there, looking for some real change.
2 million people, not one arrest.
Not one arrest.
And everybody was amazingly
Calm,
and
respectful.
nobody pushing. I was there.
I mean, it
and
was pushing
nobody-
and shoving, but it was like,
Yeah, but
because
it-
there were so many people, but it wasn't aggressive and it wasn't malicious. So it was.
Even the lines for the porta potties, if somebody had to really go bad, they let them skip the line.
It was, yeah. just
It
a
was
good
amazing
feeling,
that
yeah.
people, and I thought his speech was, while, all the pundits say it didn't have any memorable lines, but I
Right.
thought it said what it needed to be said
It did.
for this country.
It did. And based on what we're going through in terms of our economy, the wars, it said what it needed to be said. We got some things we need to do collectively as a nation.
And he quoted our first president, which
Yes,
was interesting.
yes.
And the quote referred to when they were outside of Trenton, I believe,
Right,
about by
right.
the icy river.
Yes.
So-
So it's
It was very exciting to be there.
It was,
I mean,
it
I was
really
at
was.
Bill Clinton's 2 inaugurals,
oh, okay.
but they
right.
were nowhere near as exciting as this one.
No, I was at his second one, yes, and it was nowhere near. Yeah, simply walked up, saw the speech, heard Maya Angelou, and walked back. uneventful. It was nice, but it wasn't.
Right.
Yes,
This one was a moment in history.
it was really was.
And it was good to see you at the Black Caucus
Yes,
Ball. How did
yeah.
that go?
It went fun. You know, there's always fun to hang out with the Congress people.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's
Were they
good.
all there, by the way? Did Congressman
I
Lewis
saw
and others come by?
I saw some come in, leave early, you know, because they had other balls to attend.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Black History Month kicks off on February 1st with the African Collective at the Stephen
Right.
Sampson Center.
And the football game.
You know, you got to hand it to Rod Spearman. He says he's going to be out by 6 so everybody can get home and watch the Super Bowl.
Right, right.
And that's really good. But on the next day, on Monday, February 2nd, it's the Black History Month event at City Hall where we have the flag raising. And
Right.
you've always had an exciting program.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the event on February 2nd.
Well, you know, it's the proclamation signing. Thanks to you, you know, for being so open and understanding that we've been doing this for 16 years now. And we simply have something in City Hall. When we first started this, a lot of people never saw the inside of the City Council chambers, which was strange to me because even as a child, I think I was 19, or well, not a child, I think I was
I'll
about
say
19, 20.
You ain't no girl at
no,
19.
no,
You're
right,
in
no.
trouble.
But I was in City Council chambers. I remember going, you know, to hear a discussion about something about letting the football players have some type of celebration because they won something. So, but to hear that people have never been inside of the City Council chamber really, you know, was striking to me. But we have opened City Hall up and people now come in. And on this February 2nd, we'll do the same. It's for the entire community, and we're going to have speakers. We usually have some type of cultural event, drummers, and then, of course, the ethnic food, the chicken and the collard greens, and just letting people know to take a greater awareness of themselves.
Is your mother cooking the chicken?
No, not this year.
See, I ask this every year,
You do,
and I get
yeah.
disappointed when your mother doesn't
Well,
bring
you
the
know,
chicken.
we have restaurants in the city now.
Yeah, but
and-
still.
Yeah.
They ain't like your mother's.
Okay.
So let her know that if she
I
don't
will.
see the show.
I will. She'll
The-
see the show. They
she'll-
always tell me, yes.
The African American flag, or the African flag, is around City Hall and
Yes.
out as well, and it stays up through the month of February. Usually we put it up right at Martin Luther King Day on the anniversary. Special guests or speakers will be attending?
Yes, we have this one woman. It's going to be a one-woman show this time. Someone who can bring a cultural side in terms of a song, almost like a folkloric type atmosphere. She's going to sing, she's going to play the drums, tell a story. So it's a little bit different than our traditional speakers that we have had. In addition to that, she has written a book, the A to Z's for how to use a library, teaching children, card catalog, for everything that starts from A to Z that appears in the library system. She's going to be presenting her book at that time. So I think it's, you know, quite interesting, exciting, you know, something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some nice speakers too.
Yes,
Our
we
former
have.
Assemblyman Billy Mitchell, or
We
not
have.
former, he still is in the
He
State
is,
Assembly
yes.
in Georgia. He stopped in my office a couple of weeks ago.
Right, I saw him, yes.
He's always interesting, and you've had some other guest speakers that have always done well. We talked about President Obama and the inauguration, a historical moment, and you know, a lot of people have tied in President Obama's election, or especially the January 20th inaugural date, with Martin Luther King holiday, which was the 19th,
Right.
and he's the only American in the entire country who has a holiday named after him, and his birthday actually on the 15th. Do you see similarities here in the efforts of Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s and where we are today? And you talk to guys like Congressman John Lewis, and you get his perspective on who actually marched with Martin
That's
Luther
right.
King Jr. I mean, we're a lot younger.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts as a younger person who actually read about the 60s and didn't participate in it?
What Dr. King did for America and the world basically led the way for us to elect Barack Obama on November 4th, 2008. It's directly connected. Without him fighting, you know, civil rights, getting the voting rights passed, getting the equal opportunity rights passed, those allowed for people like myself to run for office, for people in my community, in your community, to run, to work together, to sit side by side. What Dr. King did, I don't think anyone is going to surpass him in terms of human development for this country.